It is. That is. So we can just pursue it. We'll do it right after roll call. All right, we're at 7 o'clock. Good to go.
This meeting is now called to order. May we have the Pledge of Allegiance, Mayor DeMarco?
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
May we have the roll call, please?
Yes, Mr. Bacon.
Here.
Mr. DeCosta.
Here.
Mr. Lawrence.
Present.
Miss Lewis.
Here.
Miss Martin.
Present.
And Mr. Thielacker is absent this evening. President Baoki.
Present.
Mayor DeMarco.
Present.
Alexander Giorgetti.
Present.
Our Assistant Solicitor, Kevin Brett, Engineer.
Here.
Chief Charles Williams.
Present.
And myself, Ms. Watt, Borough Manager.
Okay. Or, oh, you want to do that? Okay. Mayor DeMarco, are you ready? Okay, we have a special presentation by Mayor DeMarco.
I would like to invite the coaches and team of the Stingrays swim team, of course, those please come. If somebody's going to take a picture, please. So, the coaches could come here, and everybody's coming from that side, which is on this side, everybody else on that side. Excellent. Okay. So, I am issuing a proclamation in honor of the Stingray swim team winning the first in the division of the Eastern Swimming Association for the second time in 3 years. Congratulations. Which I probably will not read all of to you, but I would like to just highlight that 119 young people ranging in age from 5 years to 18 years old participated in Chlorophyll Stingray swimming team. I think that's phenomenal achievement, and I'm so proud of all of you for being good swimmers and good citizens. And I present this to you for your feedback.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. All.
Thank you.
That was not anything, but it was part of the manager's report. Real quick, just for anybody paying attention to the agenda, so they don't think it's an amended agenda.
Oh.
You can do that. Do you want to take it? All right, well, just a matter of note, the proclamation was a part of the mayor's report, but we did do that out of convenience to the members of the swim team. I'm sorry we've lost our audience now. However, we'll be moving forward back in the regular order of the agenda.
Okay, since we're already on the mayor's report, Mayor DeMarco.
Yes, thank you. In addition to the proclamation, I'm really so proud of these kids. It's a lot of effort they put in over the whole summer. I just wanted to.
Excuse me, could everybody please speak into the microphones? It's very difficult to hear.
It's a really good thing that we have those functioning, and I appreciate the effort that's gone into that. There is now a business directory on a website that is hosted by the Forest Hills Rotary. It is available at foresthillsbusinessdirectory.com. And we will be adding additions and amendments to some of the images as we get that information, but we have 120. And I have been visiting the businesses and I've gone to about 20% of them already in person. I would like to ask that the borough link on the webpage in an appropriate place to this directory so that our citizens can do business with their neighbors. We're going to be holding a 25th commemoration of 9/11, honoring our first responders on September 11th. We have so far achieved $2,250 worth of sponsorships to support this event. So it should be no cost to the borough. And we are working with police for honoring our first responders from the police department, with Rick Colella from the fire department, and with Frank Mastrandea for the EMS service. And I would like to also ask the borough if there are people in public works that you'd like to recognize, that we please include them in this as well. I'd like to note that the September is National Hunger Awareness Month, and I will be putting some information out to share for that event that we can honor during the month of September. That's all I have to report this evening.
Thank you, Mayor DeMarco. We'll move back to the agenda under the president's report. We applied for $3,904,500 under the congressionally directed spending program. This is for Forest Hills for storm sewer replacement and sanitary sewer access improvement projects. The overall goal of the project is to improve the water quality of the stormwater discharge, while also reducing infiltration and inflow into the sanitary sewer system. This is something we are mandated to do. We were notified by Congressman Deluzio's office that we were one of 20 projects selected to progress out of the 90 that were submitted. The next steps in the process would be for the federal budget to pass. Then it would move on from there through other review and approval processes before a final appropriation would be determined. So we have our fingers crossed, and we should learn more about that in November. Forest Hills Community Alliance. Is anyone here for Community Alliance?
I can report on that if you wish. We have two consultants working with the Forest Hills Community Alliance. Evolve VA is looking at the Innovation Park issues up here in the upper edge of town. Some of you may have been asked to interview with them or participate in a focus group. And OHM Advisors is working on the business district renovation. And we will be having more meetings with them, but we did have a very significant meeting with the Department of Transportation, which identified 3 things that they've agreed they can do in something less than 5 years, like 1 year at the most. And that includes timing of the stoplights that exist to make traffic stop rather than flow through, and to increase the time for pedestrian crossing from 29 seconds to 1 minute. And then they can put some pedestrian activated crossing locations at specific places. I have to thank our police department for providing me the data of a total of 96 incidents along Ardmore Boulevard in the 5 years since we filed our active transportation plan, 68 of which involved pedestrians and 4 of which were fatalities. We kept repeating that number during the meeting and telling them that this was unacceptable, and they finally agreed to provide some attention to that. So I'm looking forward to having some progress as we look at our business district. Slowing down the traffic would be helpful. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor DeMarco. Manager's report, Ms. Watt.
Yes, as a part of my report this month, I've updated the current status of all of the projects within the borough that would be relevant to residents. One item that's not on that list are the ongoing People's Gas projects.
We understand that those are quite an inconvenience to the Roberta Drive area as well as the Bevington Road area. I am working to not only obtain a better timeline, but work on future years to have better coordination with our utilities, not only, and working with our engineers to create more efficiencies when it comes to these projects, so where we can all get into that same space and do work when we need to, but also understand the timeline for the projects better for our residents as well. Another item is from an update from last month when it comes to achieving the one governance goal number 2 related to code enforcement. Not only is code enforce up and running and we have accepted a multitude more of complaints online that are able to be accountable to the borough as we contract the Turtle Creek Valley COG, but we can also easily track those complaints as well in order to provide better responses to our residents. So I thank everyone that has taken advantage of that. And if you have any questions on that, feel free to call our offices for further instruction. In my report also, code enforcement now is providing some problematic properties and the result after proper violations have been abated or corrected. We also have, now that we are moving to more of that online-based system, we are test running a series called Conversations with Code Enforcement, which is more of a town hall style meeting. The first will take place on September 8th at 6 p.m. The manager of the code enforcement officers, as well as a representative from the COG will be here, as well as myself. If there is an ongoing issue that you have with a property or there's questions that you have about the process, because it's not a one-size-fits-all process, we'll be happy to discuss it that evening. To note, the borough has officially applied for 2 grants over the last month. That was the GEDTF, or Gaming Economic Development and Tourism Fund grant, and that was for $500,000 for a pollution reduction plan improvements that's related to stormwater to help us fulfill our MS4 compliance, but also the Multimodal Transportation Fund grant to achieve pedestrian improvements along Ardmore Boulevard from Fillmore to Newport. Why is that important for residents? When we do receive those grant dollars, not only do we achieve projects, but it offsets and it expands the use of your tax dollars. Finally, some other items of note: the 2027 budget schedule has been posted. Our first session here will be on Wednesday, August 26th. So that's coming right around the corner at 2:30 p.m. That will also be recorded and placed online the next day. We have a series of 6 different meetings, 3 of them being those more extended work session meetings, and 3 of them being an extension of our current agenda setting meetings. So we invite you to attend. Once again, that schedule is online as well as on the Savvy Citizen calendar. A couple items that may impact us in the upcoming months. We just received back our salt bid for one of our salt contracts. For one of those salt contracts, we did see an 81% increase year over year due to issues in the bidding process, amongst other things. It's a very complex issue. But nonetheless, we do have an alternate provider, and we are working collectively with our other East Hills communities to understand how we'll proceed forward to not only mitigate costs, but ensure we have a diverse supply of salt for the winter season. And countywide property assessments have been a conversation in the news lately. You understand we are somewhere in the next 5-year period to come. We are not going to have answers right away. When we have answers, we can provide those timelines, but I will note a lot of people find this as a negative, but in other states where there are regular reassessment processes, it helps create a more equitable tax base, which means that it is less of a burden on the individual communities to gauge where that sits. So everyone just keep an open mind if you have any questions, but we don't know anything else right now other than what you're hearing on the news. So this is all very new for everyone. Other items on the horizon outside of those budget discussions is that we are going to be discussing the solid waste contract here this evening. Our contract with Waste Management is up this year. That does not mean that we will necessarily get a different supplier. That just means that we are requesting bids, which is a way to ensure competitive pricing and the best vendor. And we do have an upcoming conversation about 6 more potential grants for the 2027, 2028 budget cycles.
Thank you, Ms. Watt. Chief Williams, police report.
Thank you, Mr. President. Well, you may have noticed there's some of those big yellow buses driving around today, and there will be for the next probably 8 or 9 months. So I just wanted to let you know, if you happen to see a police car lingering around a bus stop, or the kids may be getting on or off, or you may see them following a bus maybe around the neighborhood, it's nothing to be alarmed about. It's just us trying to remind everybody who's driving that you need to be a little more careful this time of year, because kids don't always pay attention to all of the activities going on, whether it be cars driving up and down the street or the bus showing up suddenly. And so we need everybody to be a little more careful this time of year, and especially as we get later in this fall and winter, where it's a little darker in the morning, we need a little extra caution there as well. So again, we know what it is, and we do this all the time, and I just want to let everybody know that if you see us out there wandering around or just sitting on the side of the road watching, that's probably why. That's all I have.
Thank you, Chief Williams. Mr. Giorgetti, Solicitor's Report.
Thank you very much. I am filling in for Steve because he has a conflict tonight, but it is relatively quiet. Nothing that he asked me to relay to report.
Thank you. The EMS, Fire, and Public Works reports are available for your review. They're in SharePoint. Wilkins Penn Joint Water Authority report. Ms. Braz reports there was one water line break on Avenue K. Other committee and board reports. Connect. Do we have anything for Connect?
Two things that are of interest. One, the Connect group is working on a joint municipal authority to address waste management issues. Since we have a waste management contract coming up soon, I think it might be helpful to touch base and be included in the discussion that's going on here. They're looking at developing a waste management authority for regional management of some administrative issues, as well as joint negotiation by region for things like composting, and looking at the escalating hauling costs and the fragmented bargaining power of communities. They're looking at ways to consolidate that. Also, the Tree Canopy Working Group has been meeting monthly. Their next meeting will address the Duquesne Light tree pruning for storm management. Patricia Harris has been attending those meetings on behalf of the Tree and Shrub Commission. And the Research Council, collaboration between Connect and the Southwest Pennsylvania Municipal Hub, is seeking research projects for this coming year. So if any of you on council have a research issue that's either a short task, a 1 semester long study, or a longer study, if you could please let me know what you might want to have as an idea. We will probably be collaborating with the city of Pittsburgh in a study of entrepreneurial interest in staying in Pittsburgh compared to leaving the area when they leave the incubators. There are 5 incubators in town, and only about 2% of their graduates stay in the area. So we'd like to study how we can attract more of them to stay here. That's all I have to report from Connect.
Thank you, Mayor DeMarco. ALAM.
Nothing to report.
Lawrence, Allegheny County Boroughs Association. Mr. DeCrosta or Ms. Martin.
Nothing to report.
I'll take that as you have nothing. PA Municipal League.
Just quick, the Leadership Summit is happening in October. I am registered to attend. There are some legislative priorities that are of interest to us, one of which is proposals for modernizing the municipal finance, which hasn't been updated since 1965, and updated methods for legal notice. They also are continuing to advocate for use of radar by local police for traffic control. And they're also looking at regularizing the funding for local transportation initiatives. So we'll be watching those legislative initiatives there.
Thank you. Turtle Creek COG is on summer hiatus. Southeast Tax Collection.
No report.
Lewis. Tricog Land Bank.
No report.
And we'll move on to public comment. This is on agenda and non-agenda items. At this time, only residents and taxpayers of the Borough of Forest Hills will be permitted to address council on any issue, whether appearing on today's agenda or not. Speakers will be permitted to speak for a maximum of 5 minutes. Groups of people will be required to designate a spokesperson to represent them who may speak for a maximum of 10 minutes. Speakers are asked to use the microphone at the speaker stand. Clearly state your name and spell it, and state your address for the record. If you have any documents to share with council members, you may present them to the borough manager now. Council president will determine how those materials will be distributed and viewed for the meeting. Speakers are reminded that council uses these comment periods as opportunities to gather information and not to respond directly to concerns raised. Information gathered will not be discussed at the meeting, but instead will be referred by the council president to the appropriate committee for review and discussion at the next committee meeting. If it is not a matter for deliberation by a committee, but requires more immediate attention, it will be referred to the borough manager, who will respond by phone and/or email within 5 business days following this meeting. Do we have any speakers this evening?
Hi, my name is William Goro. I reside at 108 Forest Glen Drive. I guess I'll start. I was never responded to. I was at the January, February meeting. I was never responded to. I know that the manager changeover was going on around then. But I was never followed up on any of my issues. Second thing, before I get into the letter that I just passed out, 414 Avenue D has been maintained by the borough since it was torn down after a fire a while ago. The grass is now like 3.5 foot tall. I have an elderly tenant that lives at 416. And so I guess it would be 412 technically. So it's 412 is the corner lot. It's a vacant lot, 414, and then my unit is 416. It's 4 row houses. Both of the 414 and 416 are elderly people. She's paying her contractor, her landscaper, to cut further over into this borough property, said borough property that was always maintained by the borough after the building was torn down after a fire years back, because she's worried about animals or anything getting her. So on to my letter. I'll just start off with, I don't know any council member that would ever approve something, a road to be permanently closed and no parking for 2 months. I mean, I don't know anyone in here that's gonna walk 2 blocks to get to their house for 2 months. So this letter is dated 8/6 of 26. The work is supposed to start. We're now 13 days in. Tomorrow will be 2 weeks. Absolutely nothing's been done. Contractor hasn't even been on site, according to my tenants. I have 2 tenants there. And it's to continue through 10/31. The road is permanently closed and no parking. It says residents will continue to have access to their residences through Service Road 2. Service Road 2 is behind the odd side, which is the high side of the road. I have a tenant that lives obviously at 416, and he's also 85 to 87 years old and can barely walk. Has been parking at the library parking lot, which is now no longer borough property, because the contractor did not outline or instruct where vehicles were supposed to be parked. Typically, whenever we have construction work going on, as the water company just replaced an entire main line, which was on the right side of the road, because the left side is parking. So it's a one-way street. The right side was the entire main water line. The water company replaced the water line and never disrupted any tenants. They just asked the vehicles to be moved off the street by 8 or 9 a.m. in the morning so they could conduct their work. And at the end of the day, they opened the road back up and there's steel plates on the road so that the residents could park and access their residences as they should. So I guess my questions are, where are these people supposed to park? First off. Second off, I don't, again, I'll address this again. I don't think any one of you would ever approve to walk 2 blocks, or your elderly grandparent, mother or father, to walk 2 blocks to get to your house. And then the third thing is, I mean, they're also parking, because we don't own the library anymore. That's not really technically borough property. So we don't really have anywhere to park these vehicles that are on the street. And also, I guess for the engineer, when is the work, they're going to start work, or maybe sometime soon? Oh, yeah. Well, if they don't respond in email, so I was thinking, it's like, well,
Thank you. Anyone else?
Dan Miller, 500 Woodside Road. Similar to this gentleman's complaints, it seems like the projects that have been going on throughout the borough are poorly managed. I have some concerns and some dissatisfaction with some of the projects that have been done in my area recently, namely the Woodside Steps project. That project took over 18 months to complete. Told over and over again that we would be making progress on this, and finally it was done over the summer. It started in February of 2025. This is 2026 and was completed in, I believe, in, seems like an awful long time project to take of that side. The areas around that project haven't been fully remediated yet. The area looks terrible. Contractors that worked on that project parked on sidewalks, on homeowner property. There's tire tracks on all 4 of the adjoining properties in that area. My sidewalk, I was seemingly cracked and chipped by the contractors. I have pictures of the contractors with dual-wheeled pickup trucks parked on the sidewalk. My yard was run through multiple times. My neighbor's yards, all the same. Nothing has been done to remediate those issues. I had 2 nails in my front tires, again, seemingly from contractor work. But I don't have any way of proving that, so. The new ADA ramps that were recently installed on Sylvan Road, those ramps were completed about a month or so ago, and remediation is still not done there. And frankly, they're unsafe. The way that the area was dug out, and then the concrete was poured, left gaps on all sides of the new ramps. And to me, that's not ADA safe, that's not ADA compliant. The particular ADA ramp in front of my property was adjoined to a walkway rather than a sidewalk. The walkway is not a continuous path. It ends at my driveway and it ends at my neighbor's driveway. So I'm just wondering if that's even ADA compliant. I'd like somebody to look into that if that is actually needed there, since the walkway is not a continuous path. Rebar was left in my yard for nearly a month before I spoke up. And as soon as I did speak up, the borough did address it, but that just tells me the contractors left material in my yard for no purpose. It never came back. They never used it again. Sylvan Road was graded to prepare for the paving that took place recently. However, it took 2 months for that road to get paved after it was graded. And now that it is paved, as I've made some of you aware, there's substantial ponding on the road. I understand that that project isn't complete yet, and that hopefully you can get that remediated, but there is a good bit of ponding right at the corner of Woodside and Sylvan Road. The concrete curbs along Sylvan Road were badly damaged by the projects. I have pictures of those if anyone would care to see those. I don't monitor the road 24 hours a day, but I don't think it's a coincidence that contractors, have been working in the area and those curbs have been relatively destroyed in some cases. The fire hydrant on Woodside Road has not been operational since May, is my understanding. That poses a huge safety problem for that area. There is no other fire hydrant within 100 yards of the homes in that area. And I was just told today that it is possibly being addressed by Wilkinsburg Penn Joint Water Authority. However, it's been quite a while and I'd like to see some action being taken place on that. I guess in closing, it would be good if the borough would manage these projects a little more closely, supervise the contractors. They've been sloppy. They've disregarded homeowner property. And things haven't been done in a timely manner. You advocate for us, not for the businesses that do the work. And I appreciate everything that everyone does here. I know it's not an easy job to sit where you sit. But keep in mind, we are homeowners in the borough and we would like to see these projects dealt with in a efficient manner and also in a turn for us, not necessarily for. I think that's all I have. I appreciate the time, but thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
So my name is Rhett Lavin. I live at 36 Marwood, and I'm here to talk about
Excuse me, could you try to speak into the mic?
Oh, yeah.
a little bit?
Can
Thank
everybody
you.
hear me now? All right. So, the park, it's sort of a small pocket park. I don't know if you've been up there, but, it's a great place to jog. It's a great place to meet neighbors. I've met all the neighbors that I've met in the neighborhood there that weren't like my next door neighbors, right? And it's also because there's like this wonderful trees around it and you can't even tell you're above Yost Boulevard. It's, a place of solace. And when we bought our house there, I was very excited about the fact that there was a park down the street and I felt like that gave my house value. So when I saw these signs, I kind of thought like, this is already the most affordable, low-income area of Forest Hills. Anyone driving on the approach to it can tell that because if you're going down Ardmore, you turn on, taking in the parking lot of the AutoZone, the lack of any landscaping in that like barren PNC mini mall thing. The weeds are this high right now. There's been signs on the ground. I think it's a year and a half now by the AutoZone. They're literally like beds.
Can you keep to the microphone?
As my neighbors and I make that turn, it's complete chaos and poverty, right? And it's also, as you're coming from Yost, from Braddock, it's an entry into our borough. And it is not the best foot forward. There are a total of 3 trees. I will get back to Cliffwood Park in a second, but it just makes my blood pressure go up every time I see that landlord of those businesses, it's fully occupied. The big restaurants there's a courthouse there's a bank building that's sky high, yet there's 3 trees, there were 4, but the 4th tree is in that plot I'm talking about with the signs over, that now has weeds. It was funny recently because they put in sidewalks there and the one guy used the broken sign because it has a like cut in the middle, like to put his big gulp right there. So that was kind of nice. But anyways, back to the park. We call our area like loosely Domino Hill because we're right above Domino's. And as you kind of go up Marwood, it becomes more and more green. And recently there's a lot of families that have moved to the area because like I think most of Forest Hills, you know, it's a changing of the guard. It's, you know, there's older people still there, but that's why I'm probably the only one here to talk about the park because the neighborhood's full of people like me who can barely afford our homes and older people. So anyways, I tried to find like one study about the importance of common green areas to cite, but really there's like a plethora of studies. They provide social places, they improve mental health, and they improve physical health, and there's direct correlations with obesity. So I think it's really short-sighted, even to remove the equipment, because let's face it, equipment is 10 times, hundreds of times more expensive nowadays. As we go through the years and our neighborhood becomes more and more younger and younger, we will never have play equipment there again. And if you cut the grass, we won't even be able to enter the park. So you're essentially taking away a valued thing from us. There is a really like kind of old bronze plaque by a tree on the upper part of the park that's dedicated to Arnold Petrovich, who gifted the property specifically for a park. And I did a little research on Arnold and found out that he was a very generous, humble Hungarian immigrant. And I just thought, what would he think about his gift being made unusable to the community? It just, especially at a time when there's a rebirth and more children are moving in. So to have his gift abandoned, just, it doesn't seem right. So that's kind of all I wanted to say. I really think that we should preserve the park as it is. The amount that I pay to have my grass, which is probably half of what that is, would probably amount to being only $200 a month during the warm season. So the amount of money you're talking about saving and what it's taking from the neighborhood, are we supposed to cross Ardmore and have more people killed? No, it's just, you know, so thank you for listening. And I hope even if you've decided that you will think again about the issue, because it's a very small thing, but it's an important to a community that is otherwise pretty neglected and cut off from the rest of Forest Hills. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Good evening. My name is Thomas Morton, Thomas, Morton, Morton. I live at 274 Cascade Road. I'm here to say thank you. Last month I was here requesting the borough to look into a downed tree that was on borough property that was falling into my neighbor's property, also behind my area. The contractors came out, did a great job. They spent parts of 2 days doing it. I baked cinnamon coffee cake for them and they were appreciative, and but the tree was done and taken care of, and it is visually in that space. So I'm just here to say thank you.
Thank you.
Hello. And I stood here a few months back and talked to you about the water on Cherry Valley Road, and I'm happy to report that it's been several phases since early July, but the water is no longer running along this curb on Cherry Valley Road, and we're very thankful for that. And it did seem like there was a plan for the phases of cutting the asphalt, you know, dredging the asphalt, laying the pipe, doing the catch basins. All of it went seemingly well. And I think that the only phase that's left is to remediate the properties where the grass was scuffed up and needs to be repaired. And, you know, I'm assuming that that's going to happen between this now and the snowflies. But I do want to say that, you know, we are appreciative. We did have a little inconvenience, but not that much. So thank you all for listening to our concerns, addressing them, and, you know, fulfilling your part of it. One concern that I just want to bring out, and I think that maybe it's a concern for you as well, the asphalt that was completed last week. We had a pretty significant rainfall on Sunday. And while those are storm sewers and the drains are open to the road, the water takes a break, slope, slant, whatever, completely away from that side of the road. So there's like a hump that moves it to the other side. And it was, I'm going to call it Cherry Valley River on the opposite side during the rain, to the point where it potentially will overshoot the curbs on that side. And I think that that is a concern with the slope of the asphalt. So anyways, that's all I had to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Bill Tomasic. 140 Tanglewood Drive. I'm here representing both Joe Doretto and myself as a group. And I'm here to address some problems that I think this borough has, starting all the way back in January 28th, when I was denied coming to a committee meeting in which the borough broke its own rules that it had established, okay, at a meeting, and then had no right and authority to deny me that because there was no official policy that existed. And it's been continuous since then in terms of dealing with this council. There is a mentality of what I will call weaselness that has come about here. People who can't be trusted, people who make up stories, people who attack residents, people who don't support the residents because you are our representatives. Sneaky, untrustworthy, and I could go on and on. So what we have here is a situation where Joe and I complain about this system, the one that I'm speaking into now. Right now, I don't know if you've done anything about it, but we complained. Joe made a phone call initially. There was no response to him. I complained in writing. I got no response. So that's an act of weaselness where you simply dismiss complaints. You don't respond. Now, I don't know if you've done anything at all about it because the committees that you have are associated with being closed to the public. And that was a deal that you put together because this council never voted on that issue. So I would like somebody, and I believe, Mr. Bacon, you would be in charge of borough property. And maybe we could eliminate anything and go right to you so that the next time you have a meeting, that we could have that discussed. I would be glad to come to the meeting when I know it's going to occur. So that's the first issue. The second one is the committees. As I said before, at the beginning of this year, the borough had no right to deny people coming to the meetings. No right, no policy in place, yet you did it anyway, intentionally keeping us from coming to the meetings until you passed in an underhanded way minutes from November of 2024. That doesn't even seem plausible, but that's what you did. And when you passed them coming out of the committee, I believe that Mr. Lawrence has controls. Okay, you did not specify why you passed those minutes, and it's not in the motion. So you pass a motion, but you don't tell anybody why you are passing minutes from 2024. It's on tape. And I would suggest to you, all right, that people are starting to get a little bit upset about this stuff. And I would like council to consider simply making a motion at a meeting, second it, and have a vote so that we can see where every one of you stand. Because as I said before, this council, which includes now Lewis and Thielacker, never voted on the issue. Again, to me, that's what I consider to be a weasel activity. Number 3, after the storm. So Donna Medeiros came into this council chambers. She came in, I believe it was April 15th, and she did not thank Aoki. She did not thank Barb Martin, who she contacted directly. She did not thank the Public Works when she was told by Duquesne Light, the professionals in this area, that they could do nothing until the borough removed the debris. They could do nothing until the borough removed the debris. So Bioki comes over, takes a couple of pictures, never contacts Duquesne Light, never has the debris removed from the street. And by the way, I did send those pictures in for distribution, but I guess we're not allowed to see them, especially, oh, you got them? Okay, they weren't over here. Thank you. I'm glad you notified me. Okay? That we have this situation where you can clearly see the debris that Barb Martin was referring to on the street, and then you can see clearly the path that enabled the equipment to get back to the pole, which is where they had to string the lines to restore the power. And then get this, after not thanking any of them, she then says these 2 guys, that's Bill Tomasic, who I was called a complainant, and Chris Vanderhoven, need to be recognized for removing that debris from the street so that we could get our power back on. She said we should be recognized because, you see, the borough paid over $1,500 in overtime wages to have the Public Works members out all over the place in the borough doing work. But you know where they never came to? They never came to that section where Duquesne Light specifically said debris needed to be removed. And Donna came in here and started off with the fact that she said, we have a 103-year-old lady there and she's going to be without power. Thank God these guys did the work that the borough didn't. Now, if she didn't say that, I'm saying that. I want to make sure that I don't conflate anything. So I don't know what's going on here, but everything that I see happening seems to be representing the group here as opposed to the people. So when you take a look at it, you say to yourself, why? With this committee closing, I haven't talked to one person yet that said that this is a good idea. There's only 4 people that I continually hear all the time are opposing. No one else wants to have those. As a matter of fact, people said to me, what the heck are they doing? That never existed before. Why did they close them off? Well, that's what weasels do. They make it so that it's almost impossible for you to have input into the meetings. And that's intentional. Lawrence specifically said he didn't want the public involved. It's on tape. It's in the minutes. So I don't know what it's going to take to change, but I can guarantee you this. Okay, there's two guys that are up. DeCross and Lawrence are up for election next year. And make sure you understand that I will do everything that I can to make sure you two guys, which are part of this group of four that says we're going to close everything to the public when it comes to these committee meetings. That'll be something you're going to have to deal with. And I would just love for you two over there who are in favor of opening the meetings to make a motion, to second it, and force a vote to see how they're going to respond in public, in front of everybody, and not weasel it away like they did with that April 15th motion. You see, you might think that you're smarter than everybody else. Okay? But you're not. And I'm going to be here every single meeting from now until election time to make sure that I drive these points home about the weaselness that exists in this council chambers. And it's a shame that I have to do it.
That's your time.
Thank you.
Committee reports, operations and policy. Mr. Lawrence.
Thank you, Mr. President. Operations, I have a motion to approve the minutes from the July 7th, 2026 agenda setting meeting and the July 15, 2026 council meeting.
Second.
Second.
Any comments? Questions? We have a voice vote, please. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries.
Move to appoint Matt Rodriguez to the Parks and Recreation Advisory Council and with a term ending February 28th, 2027.
Second.
Questions or comments? We have a voice vote, please. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I move to appoint Zachary Russell to the Parks and Recreation Advisory Council with a term ending February 28th, 2028.
Second.
Questions or comments? Can we have a voice vote, please? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
That concludes my report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Lawrence. Finance Committee, Mr. Thielacker is absent. Can someone else?
Yes. We have no, oh, sorry. I will move to approve payment of bills for the month of July in the following amounts detailed in the agenda.
Questions or comments? Okay. Can we have a roll call? Oh,
Did someone actually second
Second.
that?
I'll second it.
Now, do we have any questions or comments? No. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Bacon,
Yes.
Mr. DeCosta,
Yes. Yes.
I think he's given a thumbs up.
Okay.
I don't know why you can't hear me.
Mr. Lawrence,
Yes.
Ms. Lewis. Yes. Ms. Martin,
Yes.
Also a thumbs up.
Thielacker is absent in person, Bioki.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Motion carries.
We have no general report. I would just point out that the budget process is now starting and hope that interested citizens consider attending the budget additional meetings. That ends our report.
They're on the calendar. Sorry.
Go ahead. Did you raise your hand? Ms. Lewis?
They're on the calendar, correct?
They are on the calendar and there's a separate news post as well. And there's been items posted here on site where the meetings will occur.
Thank you.
I have a
My
question.
apologies.
The question,
Or DeMarco?
are these open to the public? These budget workshop meetings?
They are, and they've also been properly advertised in the Pittsburgh Post Gazette.
Thank you very much. So this committee meetings discussing the budget are open to the public and are free and available to everyone to attend. Thank you.
Right, for borough property?
Oh, no, I mean, you're finished with
Yes.
finance. Okay, thank you. Borough property, you're still up.
All right, for borough property, we have a motion to remove the equipment located at Cliffwood Park, located at 12 Marwood Avenue.
Second.
Any questions or comments?
I have comments.
I have a question.
Mayor DeMarco?
Is it the intention of the borough to retain the property as a park, just remove the equipment which is in poor repair?
Yes, that's where my comments were going to go on this. So at time being, we originally had this advertised potentially advertised for a potential ordinance change to effectively shut down the park. We're stepping back from that. That is a much longer term, broader discussion to have over time with citizens and with full members of council. We had several people absent last time, and there's essentially no rush on that. This motion is simply to remove the equipment which has been deemed at end of service life and needs to go away sooner rather than later. All other questions about the future of the park will be considered in a nice long-term proper process. And there are several ideas that we've heard, including community garden, including new equipment. I think a nice thing to very long-term consider would be if we are able to eventually use it as a connection down to Yost Boulevard, where there is a pass-through potential there. It's actually much shorter than it seems. So I think everything else is a much longer-term discussion. This is purely to remove the slide, swings, and I think there's one other piece that I'm forgetting, but they are at end of service life.
I believe that Mr. DeCrosta has some comments online as well. Would you like to try to speak again, Mr. DeCrosta?
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you now.
Okay. Yeah, I was just before Mayor DeMarco had asked that question, I was going to ask the same thing. It was my understanding that we're just trying to get rid of equipment that's in disrepair and quite dangerous, but not to close any public space that's available to our residents and eventually to improve it. So thank you for clarifying that.
Thank you.
One final comment. I do want to thank all the residents who came forward on this. I think we had maybe 3 submitted comments prior to this evening, and then also the comment in the meeting. And for that small of a neighborhood, that's a significant response, and we really appreciate their engagement.
Okay, anyone else? No. Okay, let's have a voice vote, please. All in favor, say aye.
I don't
Opposed?
think we had a second. Did we?
You did second it.
I don't think we did.
But you did.
All right. I did.
Okay. Okay, so we already voted. So opposed? Okay, the motion carries.
There's another motion on the agenda tonight involving a change order for contract 26-1. This has to do with some additional grant money that we're trying to use effectively over by Arnold Avenue. However, per our engineers, we are tabling that to have final information from the potential contractors. Other than that, we plan on having another open committee meeting for borough property. Details should be posted on the borough website soon with time and instructions for joining should citizens like. And that concludes borough property.
We didn't take a vote. We didn't have a second on your motion?
Do we have as a motion to table that motion then? Okay. I move to table the motion to approve change order number 1 for contract 26-1.
And that would just require a voice vote at that point.
Other comments about that? No. Okay, can we have a voice vote, please? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Opposed? Motion carries.
All right, thank you. That concludes borough property.
Thank you, Mr. Bacon. Planning and zoning, Ms. Lewis.
We received a notice from the county that there was an application from a resident through the Allegheny County Vacant Property Recovery Program to acquire the vacant lot next to that homeowner's house to use as a side yard. A motion to approve resolution number 1307 to allow the acquisition and disposition of the property identified as 298S1 through the Allegheny County Vacant Property Recovery Program.
Second.
Okay, any questions or comments? Okay, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Bacon,
Yes.
Mr. DeCosta,
Yes.
Mr. Lawrence,
Yes.
Ms. Lewis,
Yes.
Ms. Martin,
Yes.
D. Lacker is absent, and President Bayoki.
Yes.
That concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lewis. Public Works Committee, Ms. Martin.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
We can.
Okay, thank you. I wasn't sure. Thank you, President Bayoki. I have a motion to move to reject all bids received for contract number 26-S3, which was a rebid for the fire department grinder pump installation project.
Second.
Any questions or comments?
Is it because the bids were too high?
Hold on. Ms. Lewis?
Is it because the bids were too high?
Ms. Martin, did you hear that?
Yes, that was in Ms. Watt's report. This time the bid was 53,000, which is way higher than what we originally planned.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions?
No, there are none. Can we have a voice vote, please? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. I have a motion. Move to approve resolution number 1306, authorize the filing of an application for funds with the RAAC, Redevelopment Authority of Allegheny County, for a GEDTF grant in the amount of $500,000 for pollution reduction plan improvements.
Second.
Questions, comments? Ms. Watt?
I just have one comment for the group. Note the application was completed. We submitted a note noting the concurring resolution would be passed this evening. And if and when approved, this would be provided to the grant analysts.
Okay, can we have a voice vote, please? All in favor?
Can I ask a question? I'm sorry. Could you give us a thumbnail of what the pollution plan improvements are, just briefly, or if it's too complicated, I'll ask you later.
The borough has limited area to build the ponds. We're looking currently at 2 locations to build one more pond and then a tank. This particular grants for storm scepters that would be at the outfalls. So it's more of a infrastructure. It looks like a manhole.
Thank you.
Can we have a voice vote, please? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Last motion, move to advertise ordinance number 1129 to prohibit parking at all times on the west side of Atlantic Avenue between Coke Park and Marion Avenue, establish one-way roadways on Wilkins Road and Pacific Avenue, amend speeds posted on certain borough roadways, and amend the borough street map to rename service roads and unnamed alleys.
Second.
Any questions or comments?
I do have one comment. This was a combination of the proposed ordinances number 1129 and 1130 from the agenda setting meeting. We combined them for efficiency as well as to save on advertising costs, as we are required to advertise this in a publication, and that is the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. In addition, for those that have questions, the prohibiting of parking and the establishing of one-way roadways, these are not new items. These are actually things that are already operational and just being codified via ordinance.
We have a voice vote, please. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. That ends my report, President Baiocchi.
Thank you, Ms. Martin. Public safety. Mr. DeCrosta?
I have no motions or reports this evening. Thank you. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. DeCrosta. We have no old business. We do have some new business. Mr. Lawrence, would you take that?
Yes, I move to advertise the request for bids, collection, disposal, and processing of municipal solid waste, recycling, household hazardous waste, and electronic waste for the contract period January 2027, December 31, 2031.
I second that.
Any questions or comments? Okay, can we have a voice vote, please? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Our next item up is a discussion on the 25th commemoration of 9/11 events that was mentioned earlier by Mayor DeMarco. Swat, would you care to?
Yeah, I'll start this discussion. The reason why I've brought this to the attention of council is I've been asked to waive the fee that was being charged for the Westinghouse Lodge for this event. That was my introduction to the event. I've since learned some of the history behind this event, but at this time, from a council to manager directive, it still remains unclear whether this is a borough event, a mayor event, if there's something's being charged. If it is, note, I do not have the authority to waive fees. I can only implement those via fee resolution that you have passed. So I would require direction moving forward.
Any council members care to make comments? Mr. Bacon?
I think we should make this an official borough event and waive fees.
Ms.
Lewis?
I agree.
President Baiocchi,
Ms. Martin?
thank you. In the beginning of the year, we discussed all the events that Mayor DeMarco wanted to have in the borough. They were mayoral events, and she requested to have an account for donations because she had received so many. And my understanding was that all the events were covered and that there's sponsors for this event. And I understand they have the money to pay for everything. This wasn't voted on before. It was just brought up now. So I find it hard to believe that we are now having a vote on it. My vote would be no.
Thank you, Ms. Martin.
Mr. Baiocchi, I do have a question as well.
Yes, Mr. DeCrosta.
Mayor DeMarco did mention that, there have been donations and that the event was covered. But I wondered if that also meant that, that covered the fee for the Westinghouse Lodge.
Mayor DeMarco?
Ladies and gentlemen, the Borough of Forest Hills would like to honor in the name of, well, as mayor.
Mayor DeMarco,
I-
I'm just wondering if that money is covering the fee for the Westinghouse Lodge, or if you did not count that in.
I have raised $2,250 to date. It will cover the cost of the band, the cake, the janitorial fee. And if the borough charges me $900 for the use of the space, that is covered in that amount. I would rather give that amount of $900 in 3 checks to the responders organizations, namely the police, the fire, and the EMS service. However, if you wish to have it sent to the borough to cover the use of the Westinghouse Lodge as a lost opportunity cost for not renting it that Friday evening, the money is available to do so, and any remaining funds over, I will cover out of my own funds. Thank you.
As a
clarification.
council, sorry.
Hang on. As a clarification, the fee for the lodge is not $900.
I would
Is what, would you care to?
But in our fee resolution as it stands currently, as a resident during this day, it would be $880. But if you're representing the borough as a nonprofit, it would be $125. Those are the only fees that are set in the fee schedule. So those are the only ones that could be charged. I understand under a previous manager, there was this quote of the $900, but I have no authority, once again, to charge anything outside of the fee schedule that's been approved by council.
I would like
If
to
it
support
becomes
I would like to support our mayor, as we are a council that should all be working together in concert with the mayor and her special events. Whether this is a borough event or a mayoral event, to me, doesn't make much of a difference. I just feel like we all need to support each other, especially in recognition of our first responders during one of the most tragic events in our history. So that's my thinking. If we want to quibble over, who's paying what and when, I don't want to open the floodgates, and to have everybody asking for waivers, but I think, having our mayor ask for a waiver isn't out of the question.
Well, just a clarification, if it's going to be a borough event, then that takes care of any of those issues. So the question is, consensus wise, we have, it sounds like everyone has stated that this will be viewed as a borough event. Do we have any
Objections.
other than Ms. Martin? Moving forward, however, I want to be very clear that Mayor DeMarco, you need to work very closely with the borough manager and with borough council.
And there's a meeting on the 2nd of September.
Let me finish, please. Any future events that you have or would like to plan. So that all has to be coordinated.
I'm planning to attend the events coordination meeting that is scheduled for September 2nd, and I will be happy to work with the borough in any manner possible. It is my understanding that if the mayor does events on behalf of the borough, that I hope the borough would plan to support such, and I thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Bacon.
Just one maybe lesson or forward option from this. I think this has kind of revealed a few holes in our borough building use policy, and I think it would be worth revisiting that sometime in the fairly near future.
Actually, it is not. It is what the question before us was whether or not it was a borough event or whether it was a mayor event. In the case that it was a mayor event, the borough manager has the option to waive any fees if there were any that were associated with that. Lewis?
I'm confused because isn't a mayor a member of a borough?
Mayor?
And
Yes,
you can finish.
yes, go ahead.
We are all elected officials, including our mayor. She is as much a public official as we are. And I think to have a discussion where we're segregating events for our residents in public space that we built for an event and differentiating between whether it is sponsored by a mayor or a council, I don't really understand what the difference is. So I'm curious if you could clarify what you mean when you're asking to differentiate between a borough event or the mayor's event when she's having the event on behalf of the borough with the borough logo on it.
And I would.
Excuse me,
second that.
Let me finish. Let me address Ms. Lewis first.
Thank you.
The flyer that you have before you was not created by the borough. It was created by Mayor DeMarco, representing the borough. The difference here is that the mayor has had her own events throughout the year that had nothing to do with the borough.
Which events?
Well, you can ask her. She's had a number of events that were not coordinated with the borough.
She's shaking her head no.
Right, that was. My understanding was you had some other events.
I can't hear Patty.
I did not hold any of the other proposed events after the discussion about the $12,000 that would be a lost opportunity cost for using 5 Second Fridays. And only one I kept was the 25th commemoration of 9/11 to honor our first responders, which I would hope to do as a borough event. All the other events were set in abeyance and have not been conducted or planned or discussed. And after the borough asked that I not do them in that space at that time, I did abandon them. So I apologize if I did not formally inform you of that, but none of those events took place.
Okay, then I apologize for that. But the point being that if there is an event that the mayor would like to have, that is, it needs to be coordinated with the borough, with the manager, and it needs to come to the council. If these are events that aren't already part of our, like we have the hayride, that's an approved recurring event. And so any new types of events like this one should have been coordinated, because then it brings into play that we need to bring in Public Works that may need to do some work. Or there may be other resources that get involved. So it needs to be coordinated and planned in advance. And that's where we're at with that. That was the reason for my comments.
Thank
you.
you.
That answer your question?
Maybe, but thank you.
All right. Mr. DeCrosta, you had something?
I was just supporting Miss Lewis's comments before I was cut off by Miss Lewis. So I would agree that we need to support the mayor. We're a governing unit, but as Mr. Bioki said, a lot of times the coordination is lacking, and we just all need to work together on these special events to honor our residents and our borough.
Thank you. Anyone else? Mr. Bacon.
I think the lack of or challenges of coordination, in my opinion, the vagueness of the borough building use policy, and I think, lack of formal documented policy on these matters is why we should consider revisiting them in the near future.
I totally disagree with that. Because this has nothing to do with the building use. Mr. Bacon.
And call it an event policy or something. My point is that we don't have a clear and referenceable direction on this.
Ms. Watt, do you have any comments about the event policy?
I think this extends beyond the discussion of this 9/11 event. I fear that we do have some other ones as well. That was not the intention. I did not intend to bring that up.
All right. Anyone else? No. Okay. Good. Our next scheduled agenda meeting is Tuesday, September the 1st, and then our council meeting will be Wednesday, September the 16th. And we will be adjourning this meeting unless there is any objections. Hearing none, this meeting is adjourned.